Good evening. This is Makasia Jackson with the JFK Report, and right next to me, we have this great guy, American patriot, Sean Farish, the Trump impersonator. I'm just happy I'm standing next to you. I've seen you all over Twitter. I've seen the TikTok videos. It's just awesome to meet someone that's just big over social media, and I'm just starting up what I'm doing. So, Sean, just tell us how you started with the Trump impersonating.
I was bowling in 2016, and somebody threw a strike. Somebody threw a strike, and I said, that was probably the greatest throw I've ever seen. What a strike. The pins were going everywhere. When you look at it, it was going everywhere. And the guy goes to me, whoa, that sounded like Trump. And I went, it did? Yeah. And then I did it the rest of the night. They all got upset with me, but that's okay. And then I started to progress it. Hey, what can I do? I watch a lot of Trump. I like Trump. There's a lot of people who don't like Trump. Alec Baldwin was doing the impression. He doesn't like Trump. I love Trump. So, I watched his videos, and I picked up a lot of what he was saying and kind of his terminology. And that's really where I was able to build on it. I started doing Trump the weatherman, mostly cloudy skies. We're looking at a lot of rain. It's going to rain more than you've ever seen. It's going to rain cats and dogs. It's going to rain, quite frankly, a lot, so stuff like that. And that's how I kind of honed it in. And now we're here. And it just caught fire on Twitter one day. And now it's everywhere. It's fun.
That's so awesome. I just love hearing it. It just puts a smile on my face just to hear it. Just President Trump really did a great impression for our country. He's just a true American icon. He's not a conservative. He's not a liberal. He's a nationalist populist. He just loves America. He wants to do the right thing for our country and serve you and I. Let the people do what we got to do. Now, what I heard we were just talking before this, you said you were a liberal back in high school. What changed? What opened your door? What happened? What triggered everything that whoa, something's wrong here?
So my dad always had Bill O'Reilly on in the house, and I liked to listen to him, and I may not have agreed with Bill O'Reilly, but I listened. I had one conservative professor in college, and I knew about him. I knew he had a reputation of being a conservative, being a right-wing guy. And I was still a liberal at the time. I go, I'm going to sit in this guy's class, and I'm going to prove him wrong. And I kept trying to fact-check him, and I couldn't. So I sat down with him one time, and I said, hey, I knew who you were. I couldn't stand you. I wanted to prove you wrong in class. I couldn't. Where did I go wrong? Because clearly you know what you're talking about. And I started to turn that way. Bill O'Reilly, that one professor, and then I started to realize, oh wow, patriotism is really finding a home in the Republican Party. You can't really walk around and say, I love America and freedom and liberty, and all of a sudden you start hearing about equity and equality, all this, you can't really do that anymore and call yourself a Democrat. You get ridiculed. And that's where it all started to change. And then I got pushed further along the process because the Democrat Party had flown so far left of where I was, and I wasn't really a Democrat. I wasn't. I thought universal health care was a great thing until I realized you can't pay for it. I thought open borders was a great thing to bring everybody into our country until I realized you're not doing it the right way. The system can't pay for it. We talked about the fiscal cliff. In 2012 when Romney was running against Barack Obama, and Obama was going to let the Bush tax cuts expire, and we realized that raising taxes or letting taxes raise in the middle of a recession is going to kill, everyday Americans, working class families, and the middle class. And when you start seeing these destructive policies that the liberal left, the radical left wanted to push through, it was a disaster. We couldn't let it happen. And Obama was reelected. And then you have this whole thing. Now, I'll be frank. I didn't trust Trump when he started running. I was a Rand Paul guy, number one. I was Ted Cruz, number two. And then Trump was our only choice. And I said, you know what? Maybe this is going to be the first election I don't vote. And I looked at it and I went, you know what? I got to vote. And I watched this guy coming out, and he was the same man that he'd been on The Apprentice, right? So I said, okay, here's a guy who's running for office who hasn't changed. Yes, I know he donated to Democrats back in the day. I was a Democrat back in the day, too, so I can't hold that against him. I have standards. I live by standards, not double standards, right? So I said, okay, he hasn't changed. He's coming at Hillary Clinton. He's telling her you should be in jail. He's saying all these different things. He's coming out saying that she's going to destroy this country, that she's terrible, she's evil. He's calling her a nasty woman. That's what I've always wanted to call her. You know what? That's free speech, right? He's taking it to her. You know what happens normally when you take it to the Clintons, right? All of a sudden you wind up with a suicide, but it's a gunshot to the back of the head. How is that possible, right? So I gave him credit for that, and I said, I'm going to vote for this guy. And the more and more I watched him, I said, you know what? I really genuinely believe he loves this country. Then I started reading his books, Think Like a Champion. He's had an infatuation with Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill his entire life, okay? And when you see that, and you realize that that's the way he was governing, it hits home. You have a man who cares, and he was being vilified. He was being torn down. He was being attacked for caring about America first. And if that is a bad thing, then I want nothing to do with anybody who thinks that's a bad thing. Rhinos or Democrats, or radicals. There are blue-collar, there are middle ground Dems like Joe Manchin who are stepping up and doing the right thing right now. But for the most part, the blue dog, the party of Kennedy, your show is the JFK, the party of JFK, it's dead.
Yeah.
Those people are our people now. Yep. We're the big tent now. We're the ones about diversity. We believe that whether you're black, brown, white, yellow, whatever you are, you're allowed to say whatever you want without repercussions, unless you're inciting violence, right? Like Maxine Waters, who's not getting held accountable for what she said.
That's bad.
But we're the big tent, and that's what I want to stress to everybody who has reservations about saying I'm a conservative, I'm a patriot. You should not be afraid to say you love the United States of America. And too many people are afraid, but they're waking up, and that's coming to an end.
Oh yeah, you just hit everything on the nutshell right there. It was nice talking to you, Sean, and like you said, personally, I'm studying to be a professor. That's what I want to do. I want to change our American minds, not the conservative way, not the liberal way. I want to teach American patriotism, and it's time to put this country back on track. And it was so great talking to you, Sean. Now, for the audience, you just want to do a quick Trump impersonating for us?
Sure. We're with the JFK report, fantastic report, okay, and the gentleman here, the name Micajah Jackson, fantastic person. And one of the names of the greatest presidents in the history of our country, Andrew Jackson. Micajah Jackson, wonderful person. Tune in, stay tuned, and don't look away. You're going to love it, believe me.
Thank you, Sean. God bless you. Take it easy. Oh, yeah.